Welcome back to Chess DNA, guys, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to destroy the Caro-Kann defense. And when I mean destroy, I don't literally mean that it's a bad opening and all these grandmasters and the world champions from the past who have been playing Caro-Kann all their lives and have been writing books about it were just some stupid ass noobs, and now I have come to show you why is this bad and how to refute it or destroy it. No, it's not that. But your opponent on chess.com has certainly not studied what Caro-Kann is all about. They've probably seen it in some video or some game that they've seen on YouTube, and they start playing it, and they have not studied the hidden traps and the tricky lines that you can play against them and surprise them and win some quick games. So without wasting any time, let's dive right into it. So first of all, let's just remove this double question mark from the innocent c6 pawn, because of course Caro-Kann is a fine opening to play, but it is a blunder. It is a blunder for someone who is not prepared against the trap that I'm going to show you. So the usual move that Caro players are expecting is this d4 move, and after which they will just play d5 and just play whatever they have seen or learned. But we first surprise them by going knight f3, and we don't go d4, and they think that yeah, it's just going to transpose. They're just going to play d5, and at some point you will play d4, and it's just going to transpose into one of their systems. But here you just play knight to c3, and it's called the two knights attack against the Caro-Kann. And if your opponent takes the pawn on e4, you recapture back with the knight, and there are three things that basically they can do. Bishop f5, because they want to play e6 and then get the bishop out. It's just so they can play like knight f6 and castles. But if they go e6 right away, then they're blocking that or making that light square bishop a little bit bad. So they first want to play bishop f5, or they want to play bishop g4, or they want to just start with knight f6 sometimes, because they're happy with this knight trade, and they sometimes take away from the center in this case, but they just play bishop e7 castles, and this cluster of pawn guarantees some good king safety for your opponent. But in this position, there is a very tricky move, which is queen to e2, and in some blitz games, what my opponents have done is knight d7, defending their knight on f6 like this. So there's a checkmate in one. Pause the video, try to find it. It is knight to d6. Boom! And because of the pin on the e file, it is a beautiful, beautiful checkmate, and the pawn cannot take the knight, and this king is just smothered between its own pieces, and that's just game already over. But you might ask that what if the opponent does not go here and he takes the knight? Well, in that case, we just play chess and congratulate our opponent for knowing this trap, and then we still get a very decent position, though. We just take with the queen. The opponent can go knight d7, we play bishop to c4. Sometimes opponents here go knight f6, and I like to go knight e5, and if they take my queen, like in blitz games, then bishop to f7 is another checkmate. So that is a beautiful trap. Now let's actually go a few moves back and see what other options our opponents probably have instead of the usual knight f6 move in this position. So for example, bishop to f5, then we just drop the knight back to g3 and counterattack that bishop. So they drop the bishop back to g6, and then h4, threatening to trap the bishop with h5. So usually they go h6, and now you just play knight to e5, and the bishop drops back to h7, and now you just play queen h5 with the threat of checkmate in 1. And if they play g6 to cut that threat, then you play bishop c4 and ignore the queen on the h5 square. So if they take the queen, then bishop takes f7 would be checkmate. And if they actually see that and they actually play e6 to stop that attack, then you drop the queen back to e2. And a lot of my opponents have played knight d7 in this position. Some of them played like knight f6 in this position. Some of them played bishop g7 in this position. Literally all of these moves don't work because of this beautiful, beautiful knight takes on f7. Boom! Sacrificing the knight, attacking the queen, attacking the rook, and then here the king has to take the knight, and then queen takes on e6, king f8, and queen f7 is another checkmate. Now if your opponent goes bishop g4, we can just tempt them with the h3, and then for example bishop drops back to h5, then we can play like g4, but the move that I really like is just knight back to g3, attacking the bishop and kind of transposing into the same sort of line with h4. After h6, knight e5, bishop h7, queen h5, and then after g6, bishop c4, and after e6 we drop the queen back to e2, and after let's say knight d7, boom, knight takes on f7, king takes f7, queen takes on e6 check, and after that king g8 and queen f7 would be checkmate. So let's go all the way back, and in this position you might ask, like, what if they don't take the pawn? If they take, we know that knight takes and we go into those lines we just discussed. But what if they just push the pawn forward and hit our knight? Aren't they gaining a lot of space in our territory, and what have we really achieved by not going d4 ourselves and allowed our opponent to go d4? The idea is to play knight e2, double attacking the pawn. You have to go c5 to defend it, but now we play c3 and add another attacker. And now, I mean, if the take, we take towards the center, we have d4, we get better control of the center. That's all great for us. We get the open b file for the rook. Fantastic position for white. However, if they just still push the pawn forward to d3, knight f4, another attacker added with bishop, and then after c4, queen a4 check wins the pawn on c4, and then this pawn will be lost, and it's +3 for white, which means it's completely winning position. So if you don't want to play two knights attack, there's another very interesting system you can play with the move e5 against Caro-Kann in this position. And if your opponent goes bishop g4, you can play d4. And if they go e6, you just play c3. A crafty move that I learned from the GJ Chess YouTube channel, which is all about traps. Do check it out if you want to learn more traps. But in this position, if your opponent goes c5, you just take the pawn, and after bishop takes, queen to a4 check, forking that bishop on g4 and winning it simply. And of course, you're up a piece, you're attacking g7. This is just 3.6, a winning position for white. And after e5, if your opponent goes bishop f5, then there are two moves. You can start with like knight d4 in your blitz games, bishop back to g6, and you play e6. And if your opponent goes c5, then bishop b5 check, knight c6, knight takes, queen b6, because knight was threatening to move away with a discovered check, so queen b6 is the best move in this position. You play knight c3, and now they cannot take the bishop as the knight defends it. But what if they just take the knight? In this case, you just take on d5 and attack the queen, and if queen takes bishop, then knight c7 forks everything. And if they see that and just move the queen to b7, then you just play bishop a6 again. If queen takes on a6, then knight c7 is another fork. So obviously they cannot take your bishop, so maybe the queen then goes to b8. Then we go queen g4, and if they take the knight, then queen to a4, king d8, and queen to d7 is another checkmate. But a more solid choice in this position would be to play knight h4, and after bishop g6, just take that bishop. Just take it, eliminate it off the board, and then play e6. And if they take the pawn, then these pawns are weak. This bishop is buried behind these pawns. You can play queen g4 and attack these pawns. And I usually get a very nice position. We have literally collapsed the Caro-Kann here, and our opponent might feel very uncomfortable because they have never seen this before. So that's a nice system you can use with this e5 move in the opening. And at last, if they just like go to e6, then we're fine. We're just playing the French defense with an extra tempo because we just go d4. And usually in the French, the pawn for black is still on c7. But what did they do on the first move? They blundered the pawn to c6, because now they have to move the pawn again to c5, which means it cost them 2 tempi to get the pawn from c7 to c5. So we already get a superior version of the French defense, which is always a nice thing to play. And if your opponents have not studied these traps, you can win some quick games against them. And if you're a Caro-Kann player, this video is beneficial for you to know how to avoid these traps. So I'll be bringing more traps videos for you guys in future, so don't forget to subscribe to Chess DNA for more. See you guys in the next video.